All right. Oh, all right. I know I'm late. I had a meeting, and then the Tropicana was closed. Not the casino, the road, which is also where the casino is, but that's not important. I'm in Vegas, and oh hi, look at the chat room behind me. Look at that. That's enormous. Hi everybody. That's hilarious. Oh, that's because do we do a chat highlight? Is that what that is? No, wait, hold on. I don't know. I like it, by the way. It's kind of crazy. There you go. It's a little much. All right. So, hi everybody. As a matter of fact, I wanted to see the chat. So, by God, let's go there. Let's see. Will it work this way when I want it to? Hey, oh my God. Dear God, that's fast. Hi, chat room. Hello. How are you? Good to see you. Nice to see you. Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Thumbs up. Don't forget. Yes, thanks. Thanks for reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. Support the show in any way that you can. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Also, just show up. Just be here. Enjoy the show. Even when I can't be. Hi. Yes, I'm ever so slightly tardy. I don't feel tardy. But I would like to say, for the record, that I had a good excuse. And it was that I was having a meeting that will bring me closer to all of you in person in the very near future. I hope that that's as much as I can say. And there also might be more, how do I put this? More audio of me. All right? Yeah. And by the way, I think my International Women's Day tweet was pretty rock solid. So if you haven't enjoyed that, please do. Follow me at Hal Sparks, as that thing says. Until Twitter dies its slow death. Or, by the way, at Hal Sparks, almost anywhere there's an at-based social media thing, because that seems to be the new thing. There we go. We're in the wrong classroom. Yes. No, not radio, but there you go. Thanks, Cynthia. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I really, really do. So, group hugs. Hi, everybody. It's very big. It's a lot of stuff and a lot. It's a lot of things and that kind of stuff. No, thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, support the show. I already said that part. All right, fine. Can we go back to just, all right, now, for God's sakes, people, what did I tell you about the I guess, the assumed audience for Tucker Carlson's Twitter Files 2, this time it's redundant, version of edited Jan 6 footage, that it is not aimed at anybody who gives a fuck or has a brain in their dome. It is aimed at sponge-headed fools who are easily convinced of at the slightest turn. Just need it. There's somebody, please throw me a bone. Please throw a life preserver to me in this sea of actual information. I need somebody tow me to Bullshit Island. And Greg Kelly, that's not the only one. This is called January 6th, fixed. By the way, I'm glad it was fixed. I think they have cleaned up a lot of the damage done by the rioters, so it's nice of him to point that out as well. And then there is, Ben Shapiro, who seems confused. And as somebody who has sparse beard growth, I understand. I've never bailed on shaving in the middle of it, though, and called it a style. But I mean, hey, who am I? Who am I to tell him? And then, of course, this dipshit, which again, are these fuckers ever going to learn? Are they ever? Because, folks, if I may, I mean, this should be, let's see, we'll take this guy out and we'll add this guy and we'll click on this thing and then we'll add that. And then, oh, dear God, look what's happening. Just a little bit up like that. And, oh, it's a shame. You probably just, if you're a Trump, you really shouldn't stand in front of or wear green anything. It's just not smart. It is not a smart thing to do, you big dum-dum. It is not. I don't recommend it ever. But anyways, we'll be hearing from Don in just a little bit. But until that time, we'll play nice. till because all right. So all right. Well, that said, chat room, you good? How you doing? Hi, ho, hello, hello. Oh my God, the amount of people and hello and everybody. Good Lord. Oh my God, the show is huge now, and I can't even handle it. Thank you. Oh, I love some green screen. I've spent so much time. I mean, you can see the little hue around my my head, as it were. But yeah, I mean, I prefer it. Not partially because I'm halfway between. I don't need to hear any shit from Room Raider, and also, why does anyone who and I influencers, you call anyone who calls themselves that, all right, um are you nuts? Are you a crazy person? Do not show what your house, the interior of your house looks like as best you can, unless there's just walls behind you, especially if there's a window or a fucking door. Maybe I've just watched too much true crime. Just don't do it. Do not do it. Volume? Oh, the volume's fairly high. Like, if I get any, yeah, if I get any, I guess I could tweak it a touch. Maybe a little bit that. Is that better? How about that? Hopefully, because I get carried away, and then you know what happens. All right. First, let's go to Greg, because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this is Greg Kelly, the most miserable man on the internet. Now, before we start Greg's diatribe on, it was January fixed. Get it? Not sixth. It's fixed. 6/5. It kind of vaguely rhymes, but not. As my dad would say. So, before we get into the fact that Greg is a sponge-headed, desperate, sad little man, I would like to, I guess I would like to address that all of these folks are, there's an extra danger to what Tucker Carlson is doing. Beyond the lies and the propaganda and the editing and all that kind of shit. Beyond that. Because in many ways, while January 6th and the actions taken on that day were the product of Donald Trump saying the election was fixed and it was rigged and blah, 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 and they were all mad about that, what actually drove them to the steps that day was not necessarily his direct blather, but a combination of his direction, his insistence that they come there in the first place, and his, telling them they're responsible for fixing it, but also the multiple disappointments those people felt, because the emotional driver that brought the Jan 6ers to Washington, D.C. that day, and indeed drive them to the violence that we see when they do carry it out, is because fuckheads like Mike Lindell and Donald Trump and Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell and any number of idiots out there set them up like, he's going to be reinstated. Oh, we're going to have a new election. We got like all these moments where they were like, he's going to be back in office in 6 weeks, in a month. He even admitted it in that fucking speech we did Monday, that people in that room with him were talking about the fact that he was going to be president again within a few weeks of the beginning of January, after January 21st. They were just going to fix it and he'll be back in office. And he seemed to think that was a real thing. It ain't. It never was. But if he got his hopes up like a fucking moron, imagine what these dipshits went through. And the problem is, and we see this with the slacktivist class, we see this with like faux-gressives and basically angry leftists who won't take a win ever. We see the same thing where they get so disappointed they slip into either violence or nihilism. And that's exactly what happened here. And guess what? It's going to happen again. Tucker Carlson has nothing to add to this conversation except lies and setting these fuckers up for another fall. And that's some creepy shit. It's a mistake. It's dangerous. And like, am I worried about Greg Kelly? No. Greg Kelly is, he's effectively self-neutered all the time. But there are those in this crowd that are still aching for the great day of the rope or the big change that's going to come, that's going to, I guess, insert Donald Trump back in the White House. I mean, there's still fuckers who think that Trump signs all the bills and Biden is in a fake White House that is on this, that's built by an Amazon set designers. No shit. They're lunatics, but they're ambulatory lunatics with cars and jobs and extra cash who can buy plane tickets and show up in places. That's the concern. Okay, so we're going to see a rehash, and I don't doubt he's going to play the same footage we've seen. So I will skip past that when it comes up because I've already covered it, and then just see his take on it. But ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Raymond G. Kelly, the second generation New York royalty, with his take on how January 6th was a setup. And by the way, again, before we even start this, if that's the case, January 6th, that this guy, and we know how much this guy loves Ashley Babbitt. He loves, I mean, that was his wife. She was going to be his wife. And then she died, and he's pining for her forever. That was his dream girl. And it was just, he would have had a happy life had it not been for somebody, denying him that reality. This guy, in saying that, Fibbies and other people instigated it. He's going to go into Ray Epps and all that shit because they'll play all the same clips. But they were all pushed into doing it. This guy, he didn't go there of his own free will. It was a fucking mind. He was mind fucked MK Ultra style. Same thing with Ashley Babbitt. And so the entire premise of this video, which is 14 minutes long, buckle in. By the way, I reserve the right to bail out if he's boring. But Greg Kelly, with this video, already is making the case that Ashley Babbitt died for nothing and died a sucker. Just keep that in your mind as you're listening to his words.
It was January fixed. We're going to call it January fixed, not
Well, that's what it was. It was the fix was in. It was never going to succeed. We almost had it. By the way, this makes no sense.
January 6th, it was January fixed. Maybe we can make that a thing.
No, you're not going to make that a thing. That's silly.
Because it was a total setup. Now, for 2 years, this show...
That's right, yes. Translation, Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, died a sucker, and the FBI was down there just trying to get maggots, desperately trying to get maggots to attack police officers because they wouldn't normally.
Has been asking some basic questions about that day that nobody else seems to be terribly interested in.
Yes, Greg, you are tragically basic.
Who left the doors open for...
No one left the doors open.
For the protesters to just come on in.
Nobody left the doors open. As a matter of fact, in the footage that you're going to cite from Tucker Carlson, somebody kicked them open.
Why isn't the killer of Ashley Babbitt being prosecuted?
Because he's a police officer and he was doing his job. She was bashing her way through a door that was barricaded, trying to get to members of Congress with a mob that was saying, hang Mike Pence. Pence, go fuck yourself.
Who is Ray Epps?
Ray Epps is a maggot who apparently has a line that he won't cross. He'll do petty theft, but he won't do armed robbery. That's apparently his limit.
And how is it that the Capitol Police could have failed so miserably in...
Because they were set up by Donald Trump to not expect a mob. Because had he put in his teleprompter and in his prepared speech that day that they were going to march down there, he would have had to get a permit, and that permit would have cued the Capitol Police that a giant group of people were actually going to come down there instead of a little group from the secondary stage having a little gathering on the steps. All those people that Trump was going to send his fucking people and go with them. That meant they would need more security. More than likely, those big gates that we saw after the fact would have been up beforehand. That's why Trump set them up.
Their basic job, securing the Capitol building.
Because they didn't know what was coming because Trump wanted it that way.
Those questions off limits for not only the January 6th committee, but for the corrupt and incurious media as well, who are...
By the way, what part of those questions are, quote, off limits? Ray Epps has been discussed and rediscussed 5 fucking times just in the last year. He's fucking trended 5 times last year that I mean, maybe more than, but
apparently
fuck.
content to be lied to or are willing to lie themselves. Not
Well, it is the Newsmax mission statement.
Not me and not Tucker Carlson.
Good choice of pictures. I can tell you love him dearly because you had somebody scroll through the footage and find something that didn't look like he was just finding out that he didn't get the scholarship as he's looking at his grades posted on the board at prep school.
Tonight, we're grateful for what Tucker Carlson did and maybe a little bit envious, but the important part is the information, is the story,
and the edits. The important part is the propaganda, is the manipulation of the footage, and that's the key. We view what the January 6th committee did as manipulation, so we want our shot at manipulating it our direction because, as Rudy Giuliani says, truth isn't true.
House Speaker McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, granted Tucker access to thousands of hours of security camera footage from the Capitol on January 6th that
But he wouldn't give it to you? Maybe it's because you got kicked off DirecTV and stuff. Maybe he's afraid of AT&T. Does Kevin McCarthy get money from AT&T? I think he does. Ouch.
blows up the Democrat narrative of that day, that this was
No, it doesn't.
worse than 9/11, that it was.
By the way, the only reason it qualifies in any way, I believe, as worse than 9/11 is that it was fucking Americans doing it. Also, the attacks on the trade centers, while dramatic and dangerous and deadly, we don't run our government in the World Trade Centers. That's why. It is definitely worse when your own family turns on you. Wouldn't you say?
Was an insurrection. It wasn't. It
was a failed insurrection. Hashtag failed insurrection.
was a setup. Now, first.
No. Well, if it was a setup, again, the only argument that makes that make sense is that maggots, to their core, are dough-headed fucks who will follow anybody that tells them to do something violent or illegal. How is this a compliment? Can you imagine if in defense of, instead of just saying it's wrong to burn down a Target or the violence around that Antifa was doing in Portland, hashtag rip Portland, instead of decrying it, as Biden did, which is one of the reasons he got elected, and the people around him did, instead they said it was actually a setup. Republicans tricked our pale white black-clad youth into reading commie manifestos and then running down the street and burning Starbucks. It was a trick. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to throw Molotov cocktails. They were lured into it.
Remember this guy, the horns guy?
Yes, the horns guy. Yes, call him that.
Now, I've said for 2 years, he did not break anything. He did.
Greg, I know you're not going to watch my long-form takedown of the J6 footage bullshit from Tucker Carlson, but at least you got to know this, that anybody who was in the Capitol that day that was not supposed to be there got in there stepping over or in the blood of their fellow maggots and police officers. They were in there as the result of violence.
Not hurt anybody.
No, he just benefited from other people hurting someone.
And at times, he seemed like he was actually assisted by Capitol Police.
It does seem that way if you watch edited video with no audio. And also have no respect for cops who are trying to de-escalate a situation in a situation where there are literally hundreds/thousands of people all around them and in the building and moving through the building that mean members of the Congress and the vice president in particular harm that day.
Helping him along.
Yeah. Because rather than jump on this lunatic and get poked with his fucking horns, They just followed him around. All right, you seen it? Get the fuck out of here. We'll arrest you later. It's not like you can hide.
And now we know he was.
No, he wasn't. Same shit.
Virtually every moment of his time inside.
All right, we saw this part. We've been over it.
Who were tried to slow.
Explanation for that. Look at this.
Hold on, back.
Not one of them even tried to slow him down.
Right. Because they knew who he was. They could arrest him later. He was not currently engaged in any violence. But God knows if he's got a fucking pull wire in his fucking backpack to blow some shit up because he looks like a goddamn lunatic. And until, if they can keep him ratchet down, or until he decides to ratchet himself up, this is the best course of action.
How do you explain that?
I just did. It's not hard. Cops do this all the time. You ever seen cops? And I know people in the chat room are going to go, after they shoot everybody. Jesus Christ. There are a billion police interactions with human beings all the time, and you only see the bad ones. The good ones, cops spend like hours in a lot of cases talking crazy people down from scary shit.
There is no explanation for that.
Yes, there is. The problem is your porous brain, as full of holes as it is, apparently the truth is square and every hole in your brain is round.
The Capitol Hill police failed us and may have been complicit in
Fuck you.
some of this.
Complicit. Look at the fucking smug look on this dumbass's face. And again, I will recover this again. But he's calling Capitol Police traitors because they weren't violent to this guy. Now, if they were violent to him, and he started, any of the stuff we hear from people when they're taken down regularly, they would go, see, nobody cares when it's a white guy. They would be all up in that shit. You know it. You know they would.
Next.
Chansley understood that Capitol.
Oh, this is the part where we saw that he tries to do trick editing to trick you that two different sets of doors are the same doors.
Police.
And I guarantee Kelly's going to fall
for his
for it.
allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer.
See that door?
On the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Not the door to the floor of the Senate.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for paying the.
See those windows? See the windows on that door? See that? See that? Never mind that the doors open in. We'll get to that later. You see 4 panes on that, on any of those? Any of them. Any of them. What you saw were utility doors for office areas, and these are the doors to the chamber. They're very ornate and fancy pants.
Needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
They didn't allow you in. You beat them. The people you are with physically attacked the police officers. You're in there because you stepped over their blood. And like I said, check his fucking moccasins. I'm going with in.
Isn't that amazing?
No, it's not amazing. It's fucking stupid. He's a deluded asshole. So are you.
Now, Jacob Chansley's mother will be joining us soon. This is evidence, by the way, we don't believe.
He's a grown man. Folks, I got to tell you, if you are over, 23, 24, what's the outside age? If you're 27 and your parents need to be interviewed on television because you fucked up and landed yourself in jail. And again, aren't we the snowflakes? Aren't they the fuck your feelings, bootstrappers, individual freedom, tough, rugged individualists? This motherfucker's mom is coming on Newsmax. His mom. Now, why is mom? Why? Why is mother? Because he doesn't have any other relationships. That's another red flag. If the only fucking person they can bring on that will do some sort of kiss-ass cleanup for you is your fucking mom. You screwed up.
His lawyer had access to. Jacob Chansley is in prison tonight serving.
Please, please, God, please, Lord, Lord, shine down your rays of goodness upon us. Please deliver unto his defense lawyer the edited video that Tucker Carlson put. Please allow his attorney and the people paying for his appeal to be sponge-headed enough to attempt to put edited video into an appeal and get him sprung from jail. Lord, please allow for that so that the prosecution can ask for the unedited video, get it, and get testimony from the officers who are next to him, who will easily testify, so that he gets, Lord, another 6 months because of Tucker and this dumb motherfucker.
A 3 to 4 year federal sentence. How are they going to explain this?
It's just, whew. Again, like I said, this is Tucker setting up dough-headed motherfuckers like Greg Kelly, who is in turn setting up his audience for a big disappointment.
All right, next, the late Brian Sicknick, Capitol Hill police officer.
Oh, this is the idea that he didn't die that day. Now, I don't know anyone, and maybe somebody in the chat, is there, chat room, help me out here. Love you guys. Is anywhere in this? Does anybody ever remember anyone thinking or saying that Sicknick died during the actual event there? Because I remember him, the whole story of him having a stroke that night and having to be unplugged the next morning or the next, day. Like, I don't remember fucking anybody saying he died there on the spot. Yes, and you're absolutely right, by the way, about Bill. Jacob Chansley pleaded guilty because there's a lot more footage, some of which he filmed him fucking self. So, yeah, he died the next day. Everybody, nobody said, oh my God, he was murdered on the floor of the rotunda that day. Like, fucking no one. And so, this is beyond a straw man. Also, interestingly enough, they haven't changed the chyron under his face. That's a weird choice.
Who died?
Actually, it's not a choice. Someone there is just lazy.
The day after, on January 7th. Now,
yes, we all know this.
First, we were lied to and told MAGA rioters threw a fire extinguisher at his head.
No, they did.
That was not true.
No, they did.
Another lie, but
no. All right, hold on. Hold on, 1 second. Let's clarify. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may, that's the fire extinguisher. Capitol rioter hits officer with fire extinguisher. Wah fucking la. Secondly, his stroke, it is entirely reasonable that he had precursors for a stroke as a relatively healthy guy walking around, as many people do. But what triggered it, what cut it loose, what caused that clot to break free, move to his brain, incapacitate, and ultimately kill him, considering the day he had been through, while the cause of his death was natural, it was natural in the category of, I have a friend who died of natural causes. He got shot, and naturally, he died.
Lie that helped mythologize and glorify the...
And glorify. Because there is no glory in simply doing your job well as a peace officer. None. You make fucking widgets, according to Greg Kelly. His father was the New York police commissioner. This motherfucker, bring your goddamn dad down on this show and explain to him how this guy who died the day after the riot, the insurrection, the riot, the fucking maggot riot. On the day of it, regardless of whether you think he died due to what happened that day, in his normal procedure was not worthy of respect, or in this case, glory.
The Democrats' version of January 6th. Joe Biden even attended the memorial service for Officer Sicknick. But Officer Sicknick was alive and well on January 6th at the time when we were later told he was dying.
First of all, alive and dying are variants of the same thing. Secondly, well, also, we'll see. I want to see this footage.
Here is surveillance footage of Sicknick walking in the Capitol after he was supposedly murdered by the mob outside.
Okay, no. Again, listen to the line there. I mean, again, this is absolutely aimed at this dumb motherfucker. This is aggravating. I got news for you, though. In some ways, if indeed they, if they exhumed the body and looked at it again from the point of view of, trauma or a chemical relationship, which they may or may not have looked at, into his death that caused the stroke later, or some, alignment with that they might find out later. Technically speaking, if somebody poisons someone and the poison takes a while, that person has been murdered. It is an attempted murder until they aren't helped. But the act of murdering them has already taken place. If they survive because somebody gets them the antidote, it becomes an attempted murder, but not for lack of trying on the part of the murderer. If someone gives someone else an injury that later kills them, how many people in the chat room love them some special victims unit or some criminal intent? We love Vincent D'Onofrio around here. What a lovely, lovely man. We even love the years where Jeff Goldblum filled in. What are you saying? Because, sorry, he's not dead yet. He's still alive. How are you losing it? No. Yes, I know. It's a crazy thought, right? It's still murder. If you ever seen, I forget which, there was a movie, there was a plot where a guy had attempted to murder his wife. And they couldn't get him on poisoning her or whatever he did to her. But she was on life support. And so he managed to get away with it. And then he chose to unplug her. And they got him for murder because he set up the situation that put her in there in the first place so they could get around double jeopardy that way because he had murdered her. He ultimately ended up killing her in the end by being the person who pulled the plug in the situation where he had set her up. She hadn't died yet, so they could only, he slipped the attempted murder charge, right? Reversal of fortune, is that it? Fractured? Yes, that's what it was. You're right, fractured. Easy Network, thank you. Yes, that's exactly it. And the reason is because he murdered her. She just hadn't succumbed to the injury that had murdered her yet. And attempted murder and murder are two different things. That's right. Can we pull the plug on Kelly? I think we're probably going to, because it's going to be a lot of repetitive shit. I mean, we're going to see these same repeating bullshit. And by the way, let's jump past this, because we've seen this footage before. All right, here. And then watch, and let's just see Greg, if I can take it, shit on Sicknick one more time.
Do that, then their dishonesty knew no limits.
No limits regarding January 6th or just about anything else. It's incredible.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, like they'll tell you they don't have a penis, and then you're in the middle of making out with them, and then suddenly, ba-boing. Not taking that bus again.
Prince William of England even sent a letter
Of England?
of sympathy to the Sicknick family.
The dude died. He died of a stroke the day after he went through hell in a situation where they had no backup because Trump set them up to fail.
That's fine, but under the false impression that Sicknick was killed by MAGA, that is a lie.
All right. I mean, read the letter. What the fuck does that even mean?
Now, eventually, the Capitol Police admitted that Officer Sicknick died of natural causes. We'll have more on that in a little bit, and how they're trying to explain and excuse their way out of this one. There is no excuse.
Yes, there is. You can absolutely, if anybody has the precursors for a stroke or an aneurysm in them at any given time, and you can absolutely track back to an extraordinary situation, high adrenaline, injury, all kinds of shit that could lead to that stroke being triggered. Would the stroke have happened eventually? Maybe. Would there have been a time to remedy that stroke beforehand? During a checkup a month later, could he have perhaps recognized the potential for it, taken, steps to mitigate it? Of course. But when it happened and that had happened, can be absolutely tied. And the idea that he naturally died of a stroke the day after something like that, and it's just like, well, then fuck, nothing happened. I mean, what the fuck? And then fuck that guy. The shrug attitude, and by the way, this is the focus. One of the reasons Sicknick is the focus is because you can't go after, hold on. Here's why. You want to know why they're focusing on Sicknick so much? Let's see. You want to know why? You want to know why this motherfucker is focused so much on Sicknick? So they don't have to talk about this guy or any of the 140 plus officers that were injured that day. The fact that Sicknick died the next day, and they can dunk on the idea while creating a straw man entirely that anybody said he was murdered on site during the fucking thing, when no one did. I mean, no one of consequence, and certainly no one in the quote-unquote mainstream media said that Sicknick was dead on the day, or when, oh my God, we've got an officer down, and rumor, word is he's died, blah, blah, blah. Like, fucking no one. Anybody? All right. Remember this guy, though? Hear that guy yelling, "Stop the steal"? Look at him bleeding from his fucking mouth. That's why this fucker wants to talk about Sicknick. This is why this rancid son of a bitch wants to talk about Sicknick's death as a way of shrugging it off. Same fucking reason Tucker Carlson does it. So that they have something to show besides this. And, you want to talk about the fucking manipulation. There's literally making up a fucking lie that people were saying he was murdered on the day. Tucker says it. No one fucking said that. And Greg Kelly, same thing.
Next, Senator Josh Hawley, Republican of Missouri.
Hey, thanks for showing the exact reason why everybody made fun of him running. Because it wasn't that he was running. Everybody was trying to get the fuck out of there. The difference was this motherfucker did that first. That's why. Josh Hawley running is funny because earlier in the day he was like, I'm with you people. And then later he's like, motherfucker.
Who would object to the counting of electoral votes on January 6th. And under the Electoral Count Act of 1887, that's entirely legal. No.
Right. Unless you are doing it Not because you genuinely believe there's a reason to do it, but so that you can buy time for troops to show up and stop the process so that you can aid and abet the taking over of the government in an illegal coup. In that case, it's illegal. Just saying.
No matter how much the left tries to say that's insurrectionist behavior. The left tried to say that Josh Hawley...
By the way, that you do something is not the whole story. Why you're doing it. If you're holding a door for someone to be nice, or you're holding a door for someone because you know someone's out there to hit them with a bat, and that's the signal to let them know this person is coming out, you're still just holding the door for someone. That's not illegal.
Retreated.
It's just fucking, oh God. His dad was fucking police commissioner.
Like a coward from the riot he started. Another lie.
The committee released a video of...
Right. Again, same shit. He's running. No, it's exactly that point. Hold on.
Respect us, and that's fine. I feel better without it, and you should too.
Yes. Greg, no one respects you in the morning because you're always alone and you have no self-respect. That's all we need of Greg Kelly. That's his leading argument. Let's look at, should we take a glance at, I mean, this is, I imagine, the face that Ben Shapiro makes whenever his wife suggests things like the Kama Sutra or stay spray or that she finished before he does. You know what I mean? This is the face of a man who buys wood and in a bag. But let's see. And he's going to show the same fucking footage. Let's see if he goes the same direction. The title of this is, by the way, he's not all in on this, by the way. You can look. The title of this is Ben Reacts to Tucker's January 6th footage. And the look on his face tied to that, like, less than glowing title is curious.
There were two real major revelations from Tucker last night. And they have...
One is ball tanning somehow will not help your logic or your reasoning.
Have to do with two major sort of visual and also factual claims that were made by the Democrats, by Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney on the January 6th committee, and by the media.
Who are you looking at, Ben? Who's over there telling you everything's going to be okay? Who? Is that where the piece of wood is? Is it over there like Wilson? Do you just, Wilson? Just makes you feel better to see that piece of wood. Did you tack it up on the wall like a fucking deer head trophy?
So claim number one was that QAnon shaman was...
Shaman. Or you could pronounce it Shamon if you're a big Michael Jackson fan.
The chief rioter, right? This what he was on the cover of...
No, he was not the chief rioter. He was the standout lunatic. No, again, straw man right out of the fucking gate.
Literally every magazine in America, every newspaper in America.
Yeah, because he was a fucking lunatic.
He was a violent...
He ended up standing behind the dais in the fucking Senate.
Rioter who was attempting...
He was a violent rioter. So, and Ben takes issue with this because you're not violent if other people killed or injured people so that you could enter a space. It's it's like the kingpins and people in the mafia and shit like that. They don't get their hands dirty. These aren't violent guys. They're businessmen. The guys on the ground who snuff people and set their feet in fucking concrete and push them off a goddamn bridge. Yeah, those guys are. Now, granted, he uses those people, but kind of like chess moves. And that's not really violent. I mean, the guy wears a suit most of the time.
To assault police officers. He was a danger to himself and others.
Mm-hmm. Because he will participate in violent activities like this, take advantage of these things, and try to be a leader of those people. Not just what he did on the day, but leading up to it, telling other people to join him.
Okay, well, Tucker showed footage last night that kind of blows that narrative up.
Nope, it kind of doesn't.
The footage shows QAnon shaman, right? That
Shaman.
was what he was
Who says shaman, honestly?
named, the QAnon shaman, walking through. His name is Jacob Chansley, the one who's wearing the horns and the weird, walking around shirtless and carrying a staff and all of this. It shows the footage shows him literally being guided.
No, it literally doesn't. It shows, in some cases, cops in front of him who are following other people, and that edit has been put there specifically to eliminate the person that the cop in front of him is following, and it shows the other cops behind him shadowing him. Fuck you. Try harder.
Through the Capitol building by police officers, being guided through the building.
Guided. Guys, it shows him being guided. I mean, you look at it. He goes in one door, and suddenly he's in the chamber. It's not the same door. Obviously, something happened between this footage and that footage, if they're even in the right order, but who gives a shit? Timestamps. Get fucked. It's like asking for metadata on the Hunter Biden laptop bullshit, isn't it?
By police officers. 2 of them walk him through the entirety of the building. They're walking him to various doors. They're unlocking doors for him.
No, they're not. All right. Usually, Ben Shapiro insists that he's part of sort of the intellectual dark web or one of the bigger thinkers, but he is receiving this propaganda into his head like fucking mushroom spores as easily, if not easier, than fucking Glenn Beck at this point. We watched that footage. Go watch it again. Anybody who's seen it and who disagrees with me, go watch the fucking footage again and show me anywhere where they unlock a door for him. As a matter of fact, in one situation, they show him a door is locked, and then when this cop wiggles it and goes, and then he starts walking away, and Chansley keeps following him, and he's like, "The fuck are you doing?" And again, since there's no timestamp, is that before he's in the chamber or after he's in the chamber? Because the prayer part that he uses the audio from, that there's a reason why most of this footage precedes that, to give the illusion that where they're following him around is before that, and that they led him there to do this.
They walk past 7 other police officers. They don't even look at him, these 7 other police officers.
Because he's passed by several fucking times.
They actually escort him to various chambers.
No, they do not. They follow him.
Various entrances of the main chamber, right? That's the chamber where he ended up planting himself behind the podium.
Ben, which door that he went through brought him into the chamber, and which door that he went through brought him into the upstairs? Where was he first? What happened between when he was upstairs or when he was downstairs, or when he was downstairs and then went upstairs? You want to go check, maybe, before you go any further? Probably don't.
And eventually, they actually open the door for him.
To where?
I mean, that's an amazing thing. So he did a jailhouse interview with Tucker Carlson. He said, the one serious regret I have is believing that when we were waved in by police officers that it was acceptable.
Waved in by police officers. Were you now?
The Capitol Police said that.
By the way, he wasn't waved in. He didn't come in through the ways that were waved in. He went around another way.
One of the officers that Chansley was trying to deal with was trying to, quote unquote, de-escalate the situation because he was outnumbered. But again, he walked past 9 police officers at that.
Right, because they were securing a corner of the area where they had to keep people from leaving. There were areas of that where no matter what door you went in, there was fucking no one. However, there were areas where that if anybody tried to go down that flight of stairs or through that fucking door, they would have gotten to the vice president or they would have gotten to members of Congress. And so they packed those guys there, and those guys' job was to stand watch at that fucking point. How fucking dumb are these people? That dude wandering around with his stupid fucking horns and his makeup isn't important. The important part is that those guys remain where they are so that if there is a larger group or anybody starts pushing and shoving to go down that way, they have enough people in that small area to keep them from going down there and killing the vice president.
At that point, he wasn't outnumbered. In fact, at no point in this tape are the police officers outnumbered. Why are two of them, if they're outnumbered, why are there two of them and one of him? If the idea is that they were trying to de-escalate, well, I mean, they could have just handcuffed him.
Yeah, and then somebody else comes along and sees him handcuffed, and there's 4 of them, and there's only 2 cops. Magic de-escalation. Set him free. This is a people's house. Pepper spray, bear spray. Oh, one of them's got a gun. What do you know? These guys are so fucking stupid.
I mean, there were like 9 of them there.
Yes. Maybe, just maybe, they were more concerned with guarding the space they were in front of than worrying about stragglers.
I get police officers trying to do their job. I get that they were outnumbered that day, but they weren't
Do ya?
outnumbered with regard to this guy.
This is fucking stupid. Right. So they didn't have to worry about him. He's a fucking clown. But you know who else was in the room with him when he was in the chamber along with him that they were kind of keeping an eye on? By the way, he had a backpack the whole time. Tell me what's in his fucking backpack. Organic oats? The day before, somebody left fucking pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC, and there's literally thousands of these maggots walking around with full, bulging backpacks. When do you get to take your eyes off of any of them?
And there are 9 police officers around one guy. That doesn't count as...
No. Ben, they're not around one guy. They're at one space. So maybe, because they're not everywhere, 9 of them weren't following him around. Where they been? There weren't 9 cops fucking hovering around this dude. Were there? No. They were all in one particular corner near a particular stairwell and a particular doorway. And the vice president refused to leave the building and was still there, nearby. Some 40 feet down a flight of stairs and in another floor, but still from these fucking rioters. Maybe, just maybe, they had bigger fish to fry, and other cops were like, you guys keep an eye on him. We got to block this area. Jesus. Look at this fucker. And these are the blue folks. These are the cops can do no wrong folks. Are you out of your fucking mind?
outnumbering, technically speaking.
Technically speaking.
So here is the footage. And again, it's kind of shocking because the only imagery that you've seen of Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman, is him bellowing from behind the podium, right? People hanging from the rafters over in the Senate chamber. But he was...
Also, can I just say for the record, before this, we see this, and in deference to the, I guess, I don't know, the hamster doing a log roll on a turd that passes for Ben Shapiro's brain right now. If you'll notice, they did not show the footage of Chansley entering the Capitol. Did you notice that? They show him walking around after they've started diverting people, after help is starting to come, blah, blah, blah. After they've whisked people away while they're still blocking it. And again, at the same moment, Ashley Babbitt's being shot for trying to breach a barricaded door so that she can be part of a group that kills members of Congress. And Roseanne Boylan has already passed away from an amphetamine overdose and being trampled by her fellow maggots while walking around carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag all the fucking time. And the cops were the ones who ultimately tried to save her life by giving her CPR. A couple maggots did. A couple of the people who were there tried to save her life, failed, and dragged her to the very cops that the rest of their friends were trying to beat the shit out of. Hey, can you save her life while you're fending off my buddy? He's my ride home. But did you notice in the footage, they show that footage of Chansley in front of that broken door, the gold doors outside with the other guy yelling in his face, because that guy thinks Chansley is making a mockery of this whole thing. And so they have words. And then Chansley ends up going through those doors that are broken down. They weren't waved through. And once cops started waving people through, it was because they had cleared the areas where people were, gotten them to a secure situation. That's why people were running. That's why Josh Hawley was running. That's why the rest of the senators were running. It's why everybody was sweeping through this, so they could get to places where these assholes couldn't get to. And then the plan was divert them through hallways, lock doors and shut shit and barricade stuff. So like floodwaters, they just go where we want and end up back outside. And if we got a couple of stragglers, keep an eye on them. Don't ratchet shit up. We don't need a story that somebody's been murdered in the chamber, because they'll all come flooding back. Like, I expect this kind of shit from Bongholio and Beck and stuff, but Ben's supposed to be smart, according to these assholes. Honest to God, he looks even more convinced of this bullshit. And by the way, if post Jan 6 and the Democrats had trounced, there wasn't a red wave, there was a blue wave. And Democrats extended January 6th and decided, we're going to release all the footage from January 6th to Rachel Maddow. And she's going to present 2-minute snippets of 46,000 hours of camera footage. Edited, and it was these exact fucking edits. These exact edits. With a different, obviously, voiceover. Do you think Ben Shapiro would believe it? Even he, the QAnon shaman, who most people thought was relatively harmless, had to be shadowed by multiple police officers. At one point, they had 9 police officers making sure he didn't go down one stairwell. Like, think about it for a second. Think about the inversion of the narrative over the exact same fucking footage. You think this motherfucker would go, where's the time code? Who's cutting this?
Escorted into the building by the cops and then escorted around the building by the cops.
Escorted into the building by the cops. Ben, is that what you think you saw?
What in the actual hell? What the hell? Here's the footage.
Our review of the internal surveillance video, it is...
Yeah, there he is being escorted into the... Oh, is he in the building? How did he get in the building? Where's the door? Where's his entrance? There's cameras everywhere. Believe me, Tucker fucking has footage of this guy getting into the building. Through a door, through a fucking window. How'd he get in? Where is it? Where's the footage? Where is it? Why are you not showing that? Why are you picking it up right here? There's no reason. You know what I mean? It's just because it's boring. That's right. He's not, he would show it because it's obvious that, the cops were in on it. So you know that part. Let me just cut to the part where he's wandering down a hallway. By the way, the same hallway with the same fucking doors we see later. Because he's wandering back and forth, going to the same 3 places. And they're just keeping an eye on him. Look at those doors.
It's very clear what happened once he got inside.
Look at this, he's just strolling around.
Virtually every moment of his time.
Yeah. He's just strolling around.
Time inside the Capitol was caught.
Look, we get to watch Ben just as his brain turns to mush. Ben, how are you not fucking embarrassed? You know I don't like you. You know I think your company is shit. And you don't need my respect. I don't think you'd even want it to some degree. But you sure as shit don't want to drop your fucking pants in front of someone like me. Because that's what you're doing. Why are you showing us your ass like this?
On tape. The tape show.
Look at this.
Capitol Police...
Look at this. Why are they letting him walk around? Why aren't they shooting him?
Never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him.
Wait a minute. Again, We covered this. I don't want to like go over the same stuff, but look at Ben. Look at Ben watching this stuff, amazed. So amazed, by the way, that he ignores the lack of timestamp, that the order of the video has any meaning, that the context is literally manipulated to follow the narrative.
They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least...
Is that what you saw? Did they try to open locked doors for him? Is that what you saw? Because I'll tell you what I saw. Why not? Since we're all making it up. We're not there. We can't hear the audio. We don't know what the cop said. You know what I saw? I saw a cop going, see, I told you it's locked. Can't go that way. And those stairs don't go anywhere. He'll check. There's the door down there. You can't go that way. That's where you came. And, oh, it is? Oh, okay. All right. And it worked. He fucking... They had him on a fucking leash at one point.
9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed
Look
Jacob
at this.
Chansley.
They're not.
Yeah, okay, look at the part. I just have to say that little Benny Shapiro must be fucking hilarious in the audience of a magic show. And I can only imagine the joy and surprise when he watches ventriloquists. Ben, Booby, maybe, just maybe, if you look at the way these officers are positioned, they are creating a corridor. There's clearly a door where we are. There's clearly a door over there. It doesn't matter if he goes this way, and he's already been that way, and he's not going back. He's being herded, which is perfect for his hat and horns. Maybe what you're seeing in this fucking video is not the shiny thing that you're so attached to. Look at his face. Look at his hand. Maybe he's not important. Maybe that door is important. Or this way. That ever occurred to you? I mean, because the light from this way looks like it's from outside, but that could be a giant window. We can't see from this angle, and they're not going to let us see. Tucker is not going to let us see what was going on this side. But see this dude with the helmet on and the gun right there? And see these other standing Capitol officers and these others with the... okay, something right there or right here is really fucking important. And as long as this dipshit keeps going that way, we ain't got a problem. But if he tries to breach that way, shit's going down. And again, it ain't about him, you dough-headed fuck. It's about keeping the vice president and the Speaker of the House and any rando Democrat or Republican congressperson that Trump sees as insufficiently loyal from being strung up on the fucking lawn of the Capitol or shot in the fucking head.
Not outnumbered.
Not one of them even
There's
tried
one
to slow
guy,
him
and they're
down.
walking him through.
Look at this. And look how amazed, look at his little eyebrows, his giant eyebrows. Look how amazed he is that this motherfucker thinks that was a direct cut. Yeah. Let's look at that again. Ben Shapiro thinks that when this guy walks this way, or this way, out that door, he's in that next hallway with 2 cops behind him, even though one's in front of him and one's further back at this point. And that they happened at the same time, and that they're related, and that cop's not just going somewhere and Chansley's following him, or that later he's being led out of the fucking building. Again, like this, watch this asshole, watch Ben Shapiro take the fucking bait. It is like watching a dude you hate lose rent on three-card money on the fucking subway.
Look
Jacob
at this.
Chansley.
They're not outnumbered.
Not one of them even
There's
tried to
one
slow
guy,
him
and they're
down.
walking him through.
Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving...
Look at Ben. Ben thinks that was a cut. Now, Ben will also think, what do you think the odds are? See if he does it or even says it. He clearly believes it, but that the door that Chansley opens right here and the other guy holds as they follow him in is them opening a door for him that they allegedly unlocked, which is already open, and that's the door to the chamber because you see it after. Let's watch.
Thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate.
See how Chansley reaches over and grabs.
Video shows him giving thanks for them.
There's Chansley. There you go. See the cop's arms? Cop's arms are like this. They're right next to his body. See that? It's almost like he's posing like one of those Unreal Engine people. It's probably a simulation. This is probably laid in afterwards. It's all deep fake. Chansley reaches for the door and opens it himself. The police officers are shadowing him. So, out of social reflex or just for the fuck of it, the cop then grabs the door because he's going in after him. Where are you going? Okay, all right, okay, well, let's go in. See that? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Shall we watch it again for Ben? Look how confused and excited Ben is. They opened the door for him. They unlocked it.
The Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them.
Whose hand is that, Ben? Ben, you're looking right at it. You're the astounded young little boy sitting at Starbucks going, wow, the internet here is fast. I wonder if I could game here.
A prayer on the floor of the
See that? He opens it. The cop holds it for himself
Senate
to follow.
Thank you, Heavenly Father.
See that? And then the cut gives us the illusion that that was the door that led into the chamber, and he's saying this to thank those cops that opened the door fucking for him. Also, there is better angle of this. Let me show you. There is better footage of this moment. Guaranteed. There are cameras all throughout that. They got 46,000 hours. There is no fucking way that this is the only camera in that hallway. Now, why are they showing this footage and not the angle from a camera that's down at the end of that hallway or up in that doorway right there? Why? Why aren't they showing it? I'll tell you why. Because it's super clear from that angle that he opened the goddamn door himself, that the cop is holding the door to walk in after him to keep an eye on him, and secondarily, it doesn't lead into the Senate chamber.
Giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for paying.
Oh, and by the way, for the record, from the way that cop is standing there, 100% chance the cop went, yeah, that's a fucking closet area. There's just some storage or whatever. You might want to. Okay, all right. Let's keep it moving, buddy. And they just kept going. But the cut gives the illusion that he was actually going somewhere with purpose. And again, all of this heavily manipulated Matt Taibbi style so that you don't think about this guy or any of the other 100+ officers that were injured that day. Because Ben backs the blue.
Inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
They didn't allow you in, fucker. You stepped over people's blood to get there.
He's saying, thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to allow these police officers to allow us in the building. And that's the picture of him, behind the speaker's desk.
Yes. Deluded enough to think that apropos of nothing, if he'd have just come up and knocked on the door, they would have been blessed by the gift of the Lord's voice in their head telling them, let this guy in. He's not a lunatic. Everybody will be wearing this next year. It's all the rage.
In the Capitol building. Thanking the cops. That's a shocking thing.
Yes, it's shocking that he can be that deluded. And it's shocking that you buy into it. Because can you imagine a Black Lives Matter rioter who's well known for wearing one of those, those guys who paint themselves as human statues, all silver? You know those folks, top hat and all that stuff, and they had the whiz bang in their mouth, and they go, and those guys. Imagine that guy was seen all over the Black Lives Matter protests one day, and then later on in the night, he was standing on the rubble of a Target saying, I want to thank the mayor and the police officers for allowing us to stand here on the rubble of this Target. Lord, thank you for, shining your light into their hearts so they knew to do the right thing. Ugh, this is so pitiful.
Is it not? Because that's not what you were told. That's not what I was told. No one was told that.
First of all, we saw this footage, and I had the same reaction at the same time. Fuck that guy. Again, Ben, here's what I want you to do. While you're trying to, get him out of jail so you can have a Home Depot buddy, pay for his appeal, and as part of the appeal, because you're pro-cop, right? Offer, because the Daily Wire's got a lot of money, they were going to throw it at Steven Crowder, and he didn't take it. So you got a lot of it sitting around. Take some of that money and pay for DNA tests on the sole of his fucking moccasins. Do it. Ben, pay for DNA tests on his shoes. And then live on your show, read the results. Get them sent to you in an envelope. And when you get to read, there was traces of blood. Oh, thank you, Loretta. That's so sweet. Oh, bless you. Lulu, thank you. And Francie. When there's traces of blood on his shoes from police officers and his fellow maggots, when there's traces of saliva, when there's skin cells from injured cops and his fellow rioters on the bottoms of his fucking shoes, then tell me he was just guided into the building, man. He just felt the vibe that day.
The January 6th committee had full access to all of this tape. They never showed you that tape.
That's because it is meaningless. Also, by the way, Ben, if I may, hold on, back this up. Ben, fuckhead, see this right here? See what's hidden behind Tucker Carlson's chyron? Do you see that? Do you see that? What does that say, Ben? Does that say do not release to media? Does that say top secret? No, it says The New Yorker. Not only was that footage published on the New Yorker's digital online site for the last 2 fucking years, they're the ones who put the transcription on the screen. Holy shit, these guys are dumb.
The January 6th committee had
Ben, you're a fucking moron. Good God.
full access to all of this tape. They never showed you that tape.
It was in the New Yorker. And the edits of him walking around with no timestamp that are not congruent, that are from different times of the day in different parts of the building, in different circumstances, to give the illusion of the story that Tucker Carlson wants to tell, is not evidence, you fucking dumbass. And you wouldn't accept it from the left. You wouldn't accept it from Democrats. You wouldn't accept it from somebody who was claiming police brutality or any of these other things. So stop for a fucking second. Check your shit.
Showed you that tape, which is, frankly, scary. Again,
No. You know what's scary? You know what's scary is I think there's lead in the water at the Daily Wire. That's what I think is scary. I think... Is it fluoride and lead? What's happening? What are you guys huffing over there? Are you huffing brown spray paint and we've just thought you've been growing a beard and it's just you just sucking a bag of brown paint like fucking Mad Max?
it prevents people from believing the idea that two things can be true at once. It turns people into conspiracy theorists because...
No, this turns people into conspiracy theorists, and you are helping.
There is a conspiracy when it turns out that you had the footage and you didn't release it. That's relevant, is it not?
It is not. It is not. He pleaded guilty. He was tried largely on his previous statements about why he was there, how he got into the building, his awareness of how he got into the building, and his own live post from that fucking place. It's not exactly like he was hidden. And cops ghosting someone who is not directly violent after an act of violence does not make them complicit in said violence. And if you think it does, then God help police officers in this fucking country if you guys decide to enact the sort of revenge you are playing out on the Capitol Police anytime the average police arrest whoever the next Alec Murdaugh is if he's a Republican fucking donor, because they're all dead.
You know, the whole point of an adversarial justice system, typically speaking, is the defense and the prosecution get to see the material, and then all of it enters the public light, and then people can make judgments. That's the whole...
Yeah. Ben. Again. Pay for it. Call his attorney. Offer to buy the footage from Tucker Carlson. Rent it. I don't know. He'll probably give it to you for free. Your buddies, right? And then tell his defense attorneys that you'll pay for the appeal. You and Glenn Beck and Greg Kelly, you're all going to kick in, obviously. And you're going to pay for his appeal. And Exhibit A will be this edit from Tucker Carlson. And then watch this poor son of a bitch get another 6 months for fucking with the justice system after admitting his guilt. He got off easy.
Idea of, for example, a trial. In this particular case, this is a public trial, right? It was a public trial for what actually happened on January 6th. We got to watch it in real time, but only part of it in real time. The rest of it was kept off limits. We were never allowed to see it. It was done behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's this is Ben's argument that rape victims should have to talk about their sexual history on the stand. That if the victim can describe her rapist, and what he looks like nude, we should all get to see her naked too. That's Ben's argument right here. It's a public trial. I mean, we should all, everything being equal, right? Access to both sides. What if she can describe him naked because she alleges sexual assault on his part, but what if she should have to stand up naked and he could stand up and go, I don't recognize that body. I've never seen those tits before. And then that'll help him get off, right? That's even, right? That's fair. While you're at it, why don't you take text messages she sent to her friends over the course of 6 months and take individual words and cut them back together into, why don't you come over and fuck me tonight? And that guy's name out of individual letters, like a fucking ransom note done digitally, and enter that into evidence, because it's as much evidence as this fucking Tucker tape. It's gross. It's childish. And it's fucking weak.
Like, that's relevant to your judgment of what happened inside the building that day. Again, that doesn't change that the people who actually committed violent acts people who commit violent acts should go to jail. It doesn't change the fact that people who stormed the Capitol building that day were doing so on the basis of a falsehood told by Donald Trump and by others that the election was capable of being overturned if you yelled at Mike Pence loud enough. Okay?
So, ignorance of the law is an excuse, according to Ben Shapiro. He wants people to get out of jail because they were gullible assholes.
None of that changed. But what does change is the idea that this guy was like a true threat to American. He was walking through the Capitol escorted.
Ben, how come they don't show the footage of him actually entering the building? Why not, Ben? The moment he steps over the threshold, the moment he primarily commits the crime. Here's the scary part. This is the really fucking scary part. Is that I think Ben Shapiro thinks he saw that moment. You know how when some people will say, like, eyewitness testimony can sometimes be played with because people will see things they think they saw or think they saw something they didn't see and or mistake something drastic or misremember a time point because these two things happened in a different syntax, and that will affect the reality of it. And that's why you want corroborating witnesses and stuff. That's why you don't rely on single eyewitnesses, but unless that's all you've got, and then you have to use a bunch of other circumstantial stuff to build the rest of the case. Ben Shapiro is one of those witnesses right now. Ben Shapiro would swear under oath right now that he saw Jacob Chanley enter the Capitol led by police officers. From what he just watched. He will swear to it in a court of law. Now, in all fairness, he's a bit of a chicken shit. So I think he would go all the way up to that moment and go, well, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. And I don't even know. It's like, the point is overall is that we were misled, and that's the important thing. And that's what people just don't trust the system anymore. It's the system they don't trust. And it's not because I participated in the distrust of that system or that I've spent the greater part of the last 3 years sucking Adderall up, taking it as a suppository and repeating a bunch of different talking points to make people think that the government is the biggest enemy in the world and that Vladimir Putin is somehow an innocent victim in all this. Like, it's not because of that.
By the cops, or the idea that the vast majority of people inside the building, they were all violent rioters who were looking to do violent damage to legislators, for example.
They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." Wait, give me 1 second here, fuckhead, if I may. Whew.
Escorted by the cops, or the idea that the vast...
Shut up.
If Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us.
All to protect our country and our Constitution.
Oh yeah, by the way, there's the gallows. Yeah, I'd have to Google how to tie a noose, I gotta be honest. I know a lot of knots. I was in the Boy Scouts. Noose, not one of the things we really focused on learning, just saying. But somebody did a pro job. Okay, hold on 1 second. We're going to find, this is the timeout version of it. Let's see.
I'm Amy Goodman.
Hold on. Hi, Amy. Hold on. By the way, that's a lot of fucking people there, Ben. That alarm, by the way, is the door breach alarm. It's like at an airport when if you ever see somebody accidentally open the wrong door and then they have to shut down half the fucking, terminal because somebody breached security. That was a large crowd of people saying, "Bring them out," so they could bring him out and hang him, who built a gallows and stormed the place saying, "Hang Mike Pence." I don't even like Mike Pence. I don't think he should be hung. Maybe Maybe Ben does. Maybe Ben thinks, you know, Pence should have taken one for the fucking team.
How did we get to
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? It makes you doubt the evidence, considering that there's also footage of people walking in queue lines through the Capitol building. None of that was made public by Congress. None of that was made public by the January 6th committee, which is one of the reasons why.
Whoa. Is that the case? Let's see. Yeah, here you go.
It can be used as weapons. Claire McCaskill, you know the Senate well.
2 years ago.
I assume you have
2:28 p.m.
a memory of anything near like this.
They're the people who end up in the main hall. Now, later on, people broke outside that area.
We just saw protesters, but that is.
We saw this fucking footage. And here's, by the way, this is after, then this is the part where they fucking break through. Here you go.
A lot of the Capitol Police and other folks inside the Capitol.
The metal detectors.
This is like some information for us. Sorry.
Hallway and one big door. And to put another finer point on it, you know, last time I remember big protests in the Capitol complex was around the Kavanaugh hearings. Those protests were confined to the outer office buildings, so forth. Before.
Remember this?
Screen, but
this.
Clearly.
By clicking on that button down there.
That's the footage from the fucking day. That's MSNBC on the day. Yeah, we knew a bunch of them got in there and were like, okay, Sam, this is amazing. Look, we should come back here when blood hasn't been spilt so we can get in the building. The fuck are you talking about?
By Kevin McCarthy, presumably candidate to Tucker.
Presumably. Again. This, by the way, Tucker's entire video that we watched, the video that he showed that was actually of the Jan 6 footage that they edited together, was less than 2 minutes. This is a 3-minute and 14-second clip posted by MSNBC 2 fucking years ago on January 6th, or at least in the next morning, January 7th, showing them walking freely through the Capitol. Video shows rioters walking freely through the Capitol building. This is the longest unexpurgated video. This is all this footage. Look at this. There you go. Just on and fucking on and on. There you go. So, Ben Shapiro is not only dumb, he's a liar. And the worst part of it is that he's increasingly, I don't know if this is a result of the beard or you know, maybe he should switch to V-necks. Maybe the oxygen's being cut off to his fucking head. How stupid. I mean, he's getting more gullible as we watch this.
By the way, Jacob Chansley, just for the record, he was sentenced in 2021 to 41 months in prison.
Mm-hmm. Including time served.
He acknowledged using a bullhorn to rile up the mob, offering...
And that's why. He used a bullhorn to rile up the mob, and then he proceeded to cross the threshold, bringing said mob into the Capitol. He not only broke the law, but he intended to be a leader amongst people who broke the law. That's why 41 months. And by the way, do you think he said peacefully and patriotically into his fucking bullhorn when he said it?
Thanks in a prayer well in a Senate for having the chance to get rid of traitors and scratching out a threatening note to Vice President Mike Pence saying it's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. He's not accused of violence. He wasn't in the trial.
Does Ben Shapiro think that a man or a woman, let's do something that's even scarier to Ben, that a woman who hires 2 dudes to kill her husband isn't committing an act of violence? I mean, ultimately, she didn't lift a finger against the dude, did she? And she didn't pay him up front. She benefited from his death, got money from the insurance, and then paid them. But, you know, they weren't actually successful. They tried to kill him. He managed to survive. She's in jail. She never got the money, so she technically never paid these guys to commit violence, and they were going to do it, and she was never there. Are you fucking kidding me?
Prosecutors say he was the public face of the Capitol riot, who went into the attack with a weapon, ignored repeated police officers to leave the building, and gloated about his actions. Okay, where are the repeated police officers telling him to leave the building in that tape? He said he wasn't.
A lot of them were getting medical attention at the time, Ben. The ones that told him to stay out, the ones that were guarding the doors when they were breached, they were injured, Ben. And he strolled back by them and went, I didn't touch him. Fuck him. I didn't lay a hand on him. Look, I'm Mr. Oates.
An insurrectionist. And he said he was troubled with the way he was portrayed.
Yeah, it was Charles Manson guilty. It's exactly, yeah. Charles Manson never killed anybody, Ben.
In a news story.
By the way, here you go, Ben. None of the drag queens that do Story Hour have actually performed any transition surgery on anybody, much less minors. So I guess you'll be giving them a pass now. I mean, they're the face of the transgender or I guess in this case, cross-dressing movement. Not that you make a distinction, but
in the aftermath of the riots, they have no excuse. My behavior was indefensible. The judge said what you did was terrible. You made yourself the center of the riot. But again, you know, presumably this stuff was brought up. Why was this brought up at trial?
Yes.
Like what happened in his trial?
Go read it. Don't ask me. You're the one making a fucking assertion. Go read what he did. Go look at the footage he filmed himself that day. That other people, again, half the footage of this motherfucker they got from the New Yorker. Jesus Christ.
And let's be real about this. In a lot of states in America right now, you can rape people and get less of a sentence than Jacob Chansley got for apparently being escorted around the Capitol building by police officers.
Okay, first of all, that's wishful thinking on your part, Ben. But also, ew. Secondly, that's a negative about the states that allow rapists to get a lower charge, not a reason for this guy to get off. And you know, and those states you're talking about, you know those states you're talking about, Ben? The red states. The red states, Ben.
Before giving a speech into a microphone and scrawling out a bizarre note to Mike Pence.
Just a bizarre note to him. You know, granted, he was surrounded by, assisted by, and the original, you know, he benefited from the breach of a crowd that was yelling, hang Mike Pence, and had built a gallows, and he rallied those people to join him to go into the Capitol. He literally committed a tiny little racketeering ring right there on the Capitol steps.
And what the hell? How was that not revealed to the public? Where is our responsible media? Why weren't they calling for that to be revealed?
Fuckhead. First of all, you're the one who brought up what happened at his trial. The responsible media thing to do would be watch Tucker Carlson's videos, dismiss them as heavily edited, but any questions you might have about whether or not this footage was brought up could be answered by getting a copy of the transcripts, which will probably cost you somewhere in the order of $19.99 and some Xerox costs. Having one of your staff go through it, look at the exhibits, and go, oh yeah, fucking, they did. They fucking, yeah. Yeah, they did do that. Yeah. Yeah, they talked about the other footage. He said they were helping him walk around at one point, but he admits to having breached the doors through an area where there were injured cops and that kind of stuff. And he just kind of didn't give a shit. And he was, you know, bringing people up the stairs and through different areas. And they were looking for members of Congress. And he knew the people that he was with and that he was rallying were violent. and he didn't seem to care. He had wanton indifference towards the safety of lives around him, and he ratcheted up a riot and contributed to some of the violence that day, and then tried to pretend he wasn't a part of it at all, and tried to manipulate others after the fact to like lessen his sentence. Hence 41 months.
To the public. Okay, so what did Tucker actually show? We'll get
Fuck all.
to that in just a second, because it really is shocking. It's kind of, like, honestly.
No, it isn't. You're not being honest, and it's not shocking. I'm bored with Ben. Bored with Ben. We're all just fucking bored with Ben. At least, okay, guys. Okay, guys. It's gonna be hard, but I think we might have someone who can, I guess, ratchet up the level of idiocy going on. Is Don Jr. here. And Jr., and by the way, there probably is an ad right before this of the dude with the rotting teeth, so I'm going to switch over while it plays. Hold on 1 second. Nope. Oh, it's just Mentos. It's a Mentos ad. We're all right. It's a Swedish dude getting hit in the head with Mentos. Why are they throwing Mentos? She painted her walls and chair with Mentos? You're shredding Mentos? What's wrong with you? He's chewing it? Oh, because it's gum? I don't understand. Anyways, okay, hold on, wait. Also, okay, fuck, is that Ashley Babbitt? Tucker's team gets rare.
So there were many mysteries we could not solve.
What has happened to your penis? It's a mystery for everyone.
Among them, unfortunately, is the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. From the evidence we have, the publicly available evidence, it seems clear that Babbitt was murdered by a Capitol Hill police officer.
No, it does not.
Called Michael Byrd.
No, she was shot. She was not murdered.
Ashley Babbitt was unarmed. She was shorter in
Prove it.
Stature than average.
Yes, we only shoot tall.
She posed no conceivable threat to anyone.
Bullshit. She was literally fighting to be the first through a breached window in barricaded doors while there were still Congress people down the hall who were clearing out. Nonsense, garbage, ridiculous, fuck you, idiocy.
Anyone. But beyond that, we can only speculate about what happened. There were no security cameras near the speaker's lobby where Ashley Babbitt was killed.
No, there was like 9 people filming the fucking thing, but you only see one angle of it. Weird.
And one more thing. Virtually no one in Washington, Republican or Democrat, certainly not in the news media, wanted to see this tape released tonight.
No. That again, this is a lie. And by the way, this is Don Jr.'s take on this. He's front-loading it. You can see the Don Jr. up in the corner there. He's front-loading it with this Tucker clip, and then he's going to, guys, I can't argue with guys. Okay, you can't make this stuff up, guys.
That's why it's remained hidden for more than 2 years.
Okay, guys, major props to Tucker Carlson for discovering all of the insanity of what's going on right now with the January.
The insanity of what's going on. It's nonsense, and we can't let it happen. He didn't discover it. Kevin McCarthy gave it to him and him alone, and specifically so that he would edit it and manipulate it so that your crowd would get some red meat right about the time your dad's campaign is flagging.
We're 6 people. I'm also thrilled that he brought up Ashley Babbitt.
Are you? Well, of course, because why wouldn't you want to surf on the back of a dead woman who, by the way, using the narrative that Tucker sets up, died a sucker?
As the only person shot at the insurrection, and if all of the stuff that they lied to us about is now clearly a lie.
All right, which is, I don't know, is talking really that hard? I don't know, go in the fucking house. Maybe think this through. You're talking about a dead woman. Maybe gather your fucking thoughts before you're like, guys, this is like, obviously, cops. I mean, you should probably just shoot one, guys.
If all of that stuff has been discovered.
It hasn't. What are you babbling about?
What do you think is the truth about Ashley Babbitt?
I think the truth about Ashley Babbitt is she came there with the intention of joining an armed revolt against what she believed was the Democrats and a uniparty keeping Donald Trump out of power. She worked her way up to the front of a barricaded door while people were being evacuated. Other people were smashing the window, and she punched a dude in the fucking face to get past him to be the first through, and she was shot dead because of it. And by the way, her getting shot stopped everybody else from coming through. And if she had been allowed to get through, there would have been one of two things that would have happened. She would have gotten through with God knows what was in her backpack and God knows what was on her mind and attacked other people. And other people would have continued through that breach. And that cop would have had to shoot 3 or 4 people.
Well, I was at CPAC last week, and one of the things...
I was trying to get everybody to sign up for our... for the Griftorama. Use our get the Trump credit card, Trump Gold, Trump sausage. Mostly, it used to be Trump steaks. Now it's a little green around the edges, so we grind it up.
One of the people I ran into when I was actually interviewing Jack Posobiec was Ashley Babbitt's mom. Her mom was there.
Yeah, we know. That's fucking gross.
Along with Joe McBride, one of the lawyers for the January 6th defendants.
Really? Wasn't in D.C. working on appeals or springing any of them from jail? Did he tell you why the ones that are still in jail didn't make bail like everybody else?
And I sit down with them. That will air this Thursday.
Great. I will look at the segment from that guy because I'm guessing he's going to babble bullshit on the same level as Tucker's edits.
On my podcast on Triggered at Rumble.
So this is an ad. So you're using a dead woman to do an ad for your podcast. Cool. Hey, it's interesting. It seems you have a lot more in common with the 2 dudes behind you than I originally thought.
Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Down with Ashley Babbitt's mom to talk about the disgrace of what happened to her daughter in what's clearly... to anyone who knows anything about guns, gun handling, maybe the most under-investigated police shooting in the history of police shootings. Like,
gibberish. Honestly, this is just ratchet language. He's just ratcheting it up. Just take everything and try to dig your way out of a hole by holding a hyperbole shovel above yourself and lumping dirt into your own fucking face.
There was no investigation. We crowned this guy a hero, despite, let's just call it what we'd say, dubious gun handling records
First of all, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? First of all, let's be abundantly clear. Republicans don't believe there is a dubious way to handle guns, especially this fuckhead, especially the maggot crowd. Any gun handling is good gun handling. Even safety regulations are a violation of about 2A. Obviously, and this is the darkest part of this whole fucking thing. If that police officer, who is African American, had shot a rioter, it was a different situation. Take him, same 2 doors, barricaded. All that's on the other side of it is not people, but just a convenience store. Just stuff. Just food and other stuff. Things that are insured and can be replaced. All arson aside. These are just people, but, for all you know, you don't know what's in her backpack. Could be a Molotov cocktail. Could be Twinkies. Who knows? She just brought energy drinks and stuff to stay awake all night because they were going to occupy the chamber, right? We're going to occupy this convenience store. Do you think that if Don Jr. saw this exact same guy in the exact same stance, in the exact same circumstance, a dozen rioters saying burn down 7-Eleven over and over again, the first one through the fucking window, an Antifa girl, black mask, black covered, all that kind of shit, had an Antifa fucking flag shirt, had done videos of herself driving to fucking Portland. Damn it, rip Portland. God damn it. Had done videos of herself going to Portland, like, we're going to fuck up Portland. We're going to burn that fucking place to the ground unless they give us what we want. And then she's crawling through that window, and that security guard inside that place, who, not even a police officer, just a security guard, shoots her once, dead. One shot. Didn't mag dump her, didn't fucking unload. One shot and she's dead. These motherfuckers would want him to open for Kyle Rittenhouse on a concert tour. Anybody knows anything about gun handling is what you want to do is you want to shoot them, in their extremities first and then go for the kill because the suffering is greater. What the shit?
Before this was ever a thing.
Also, do any of these assholes come screaming along when a police officer like Derek Chauvin, if they have a history of violence against, unnecessary violence against suspects or police brutality, they have a history of that shit, and then they end up in a situation where a suspect gets killed, you think this motherfucker comes rolling in, dude, these guys had a history of violence. Really? Really, dum-dum? Really?
Despite being unarmed, despite everything.
Prove it. Prove she was unarmed. Or that the police officer knew she was unarmed as she breached the door. By the way, with a bunch of other fucking people who, I don't know if you noticed it all had arms. Did she have a knife? What was in her backpack? Did she have a bomb? Did she have a gun in her backpack? So, let's be abundantly clear. The new standard for Don Jr. is that anyone who isn't brandishing a weapon they have on them is unarmed. Now, what do you think that would do to the statistics about police and the killing of, quote, unarmed civilians? Anybody? You think that would raise the number quite a bit? Because sure, he had a gun. It was tucked into his pants and it was hidden and he was putting his hands towards it. But, I mean, they couldn't see that he actually had it. I mean, he ultimately did. And he'd murdered a couple of people. But still, at that moment, guys.
We sit down and talk to the mother
of the woman that your dad talked into dying that day?
Of the woman
that your dad is responsible for the death of?
The Air Force veteran who was shot.
Also, this is Junior stealing military valor by bringing up her record. That's like saying people were questioning Timothy McVeigh, the Army veteran who...
So check it out. That's going to air on my Triggered podcast on Rumble. That's going to be this Thursday, 6 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah, I do. I do want to miss it. I'm going to cover part of it, but only because I'm annoyed.
We'll talk about that. We'll see more in the video as this stuff gets discovered. But we sit down with Ashley Babbitt's mom to talk about...
Oh, you're sitting down with Ashley Babbitt's mom? You hadn't mentioned that. Well, that changes everything.
What a disgrace.
It was for Tucker to say that her daughter died for nothing. That her daughter was just... It wasn't that she was there to fight for her freedoms or her beliefs. She was suckered into it by Ray Epps. Did you tell her that maybe her mom, the family has a wrongful death case against Ray Epps? Because she wouldn't have gone there if Ray Epps hadn't whispered in her ear. Did you bring that up? Probably not.
Whole thing is, now that's proving to be more true than we even probably imagined.
True than we even probably imagined. Yeah, I got nothing. That's just gibberish. That's just a garbage sentence. That's what happens when every word you say is an attempt at exaggeration.
We also sit down with Joe McBride, one of the lawyers for the defendants.
Oh, you're going to sit down with Joe McBride, one of the lawyers? I wish you would have mentioned that earlier twice. So let me write that down in case he forgets to mention it again.
Talk about the conditions.
Yeah, that's one of the big cause celebs of the right these days. how prisoners are treated in jail. All of a sudden, they give a fuck.
Let's just say it ain't exactly what we call Geneva Convention, where
oh, fuck you. Yeah, okay, so are they being held in stress positions? Here's a good idea. Let's play a game. I'll show pictures. Abu Ghraib or the D.C. County Jail.
Violating all the norms and decency, the stuff that we'd be giving drug dealers and murderers and rapists.
I'm sorry. Do we give drug dealers, murderers, and rapists the benefit of having members of Congress try to walk down to a jail and spring them?
You know, they seem to be getting a better standard than people that were taking selfies.
Well, look, I have to take your word for it. I don't know any drug dealers. You obviously do. And they call you on the regular and you call them and, you know, money can exchange, you know, money's given in small envelopes to keep people quiet and that kind of, I get it. But I would like to see how about on Triggered? Here's a good idea. Why don't you have, I don't know if you can find a drug dealer at Mar-a-Lago. I don't even know. That'd be really difficult, probably. But if you can find one, get one to come on your show with that lawyer, and they can compare notes.
Inside the Capitol as peaceful protesters, so...
Nope. None of the peaceful protesters are fucking in jail in D.C. right now. Half the violent ones were allowed to go home with a fucking ankle monitor, and the other half, and half of those folks didn't even get the ankle monitor.
You're going to want to tune in.
No, I'm not. But did he put a post-it note on a fucking tree? Remind them they're going to want to turn it. You're going to want to tune in. You're going to say that again. You're going to want to tune in. You know what? You're going to want to become a Patreon of the Hal Sparks Megaworldwide show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Like, subscribe. All that. You're going to want to do that. Does it work? Does that shit work? Is this like low-res fucking hypnosis these dickheads pull off? Is that how you do it? This is how we do it.
Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, my Triggered podcast.
Don't forget, I've got a dead woman's mom on. I'm going to ask her a bunch of uncomfortable questions while I'm coked out of my fucking gourd.
Go check it out.
Go. What is he, fucking Jack Torrance? Go check it out. You got a big surprise coming to you.
Market. Watch. You'll like the other interviews anyway, but...
You'll like the other interviews. This one, you may get sick.
It just feels so fitting and so timely. You're not going to want to miss it.
I disagree. I have to say, hold on one second. What the fuck is this? Guys, go away. Anyways, I'm over time already. The show ripped by, but I started late, so I'm almost on time. Can we, real quick? Okay. There's welcome, by the way. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. If you've never been here before, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'm glad you're here now. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, et fucking cetera. All the stuff you're supposed to do to help a station, on the interwebs, a channel get off the ground. Do that stuff as much as you want to and no more. How about that? Is that a good deal? I think that's a good deal. There is in interrogations, there is a term that is often used for whites. And it is not that you're in a room with, 4 white guys yelling at you. For whites is your eyes are so wide open. I don't even know if I can fucking do it. But you can see the top, the bottom, the left, and the right of the whites of your eyes. That's when you know somebody is panicked, guilty, or is aware that they are full of shit. Or both, or all of the above. They're like, oh, fuck, I'm caught. When you see 4 whites, that was the shock moment. They're like, they said, and it happens when they do a lot of, in interviews, in case you're ever a murderer, I hope you don't use, what I'm telling you. I hope you get the book thrown at you, personally. And I hope you go away for the long goodbye. I don't want the death penalty because I don't want anyone innocent to be killed. But if you murder somebody, I hope you go to jail for the rest of your life with no parole for even a single murder. You know why? Because no one gets paroled from a cemetery. The victim doesn't get that opportunity, so neither do you. Fuck off, don't kill anyone. Now, when they talk to somebody who has murdered someone, and by the way, the murder victims in our graveyards across the country will forever be at a standard of 3-1 against people tried for murder because of the number of people who are actually caught when they commit murder and the number of victims that your average murderer will actually, who really works at it. Obviously, serial killers and mafia hitmen have a much higher number. They weight the average, let's just say. But when they talk to you, they'll ease into the conversation, ask you a few questions or whatever, but then at some point they're going to drop what they know. And they're going to be looking at you. And if you don't look, they're going to be, if you've had some practice, you'll be looking away when they start bringing up this part of it so that they don't see the look on your face, really. And you'll see a bunch of people who are aware, who have been planning for this moment. These folks tend to put their heads down when they're being asked about something, or look at something, to distract themselves while they say, I don't know, it was about 8:30, that kind of shit, right? The ones who aren't particularly good, the ones who are in a constant state of internalized guilt, they'll throw the 4 whites up. They'll do like a shock moment where their eyes will pop because they're like, oh, fuck, they know. Because they're waiting in anticipation. Russell Brand does this all the fucking time. Largely because he bullshits for a reason. And he also surrounds himself with sycophants who he never gets pushback on what he's saying in any meaningful way. And his environment as a multi-millionaire living in a very fancy house outside of London is curated so that he never runs into anybody that isn't in a fan situation that might give him any what for. He lives a bubbled life. And he is sitting down in this particular one on Tucker Carlson's little Fox Nation show where no one but the most desperate go. Tucker Carlson Today. And they talk about spirituality and fame. Because most of us, we all want tips. Looking for tips. I'm trying to come up a bit. You got any tips? Any tips? So they're gonna teach us how to, and this is blissfully short, so hopefully we'll get through this shit or whatever. He's also, I'd like to say for the record, wearing Buddhist beads, though he is not one. That's to let the hippie chicks think that he's got spirituality so he can, score on the road. His open-chested Jesus shirt, and he's wearing sort of like a Mayan or native type of jacket to let you know that he's down with the people of the earth. He's basically an Indian. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about it, he's basically Geronimo meets Jesus meets Charles Manson. So let's give it a look, shall we? The spirituality and fame. I know what most of you are thinking, though, isn't that Marianne Williamson with a beard? Kinda.
Russell Brand has been an actor, a comedian, a podcast host for decades. All of us.
No, I think the podcast thing is relatively new. Probably less than a decade, because most podcasts aren't over a decade old, but okay.
Suddenly, he's one of the most forceful voices for the truth in.
The truth. He's the forceful voice for the truth, man. This is where you go. Who's going to tell you that the they-thems are going to come get you and that the deep state Illuminati lizard people, are infiltrating everything and that everything you believe is just a farce and it's best to just, it could end at any second and they're all out to get you. Also, I sell a meditation program.
The English-speaking world.
Loosely speaking English on his case. Yeah, because he's got an English accent, I think is the only reason you say that.
He's also a deeply interesting person with all.
He is. Yeah. Tucker found him balls deeply
A lot of
interesting.
insights about God.
Oh, that's weird. They've met personally. They go fishing.
Amazingly, Russell Brand.
Really? Russell Brand knows a lot about God. That's funny. He just knows. It's weird. It's like he's not a Christian, but he'll pass for one if I edit it right.
We sat down with him for a long conversation.
But we're just going to show you a little piece of it because parts of it got a little.
New episode, Tucker Carlson today. Here's a small part of it.
I like wood, says Tucker Carlson. Why is there wheat in this? Wheat. Fields of wheat. Wow, that's an old picture.
As much as I might enjoy the...
So they're just not going to turn his mic on? Really? Who produces this? RSBN? Do they have the same producer as Triggered?
feeling of privilege and luxury, and I'm certainly making no claims to be an ascetic. I remember what reality is.
Do you? I've got a very, if I think about it, I've got I remember what reality can you imagine can you imagine saying that sentence out loud to another human being? I remember what, hold on. If somebody's saying it's loud, let me bring it down a touch if it's too loud. Run that shit by me again. Listen to this.
I'm making no claims to be an ascetic. I remember what reality is.
I remember what reality is. This motherfucker has to recall what life like us plebes was like. I remember a long time ago when I used to go to shops. I remember reality before fame and drugs and being surrounded completely by ass kissers. And I remember the kidney.
Remember that my wellness is contingent upon spiritual connection, upon certain values and principles, and I'm sorry to admit, involve sacrifice and self-scrutiny about my
what? Sacrifice?
Own conduct and behavior, which is often falls short, and I'm working on improving myself. I continue to work on improving myself.
Well, thanks, Russell. I appreciate that. We all appreciate you working on. You're such a good example for the rest of us who don't fucking bother. You know what, guys? Did it ever occur to you? Hold on, chat room, real quick. I gotta check with you guys. I've never even heard of this. So, is there a thing? Do people Do people work on themselves, go over things they've done in the past and try to be better, or is that just something that really special people do? Because this is amazing. I've never even it's like self-realization. If only there was a place where you could get together with other people in sort of fellowship, like in Los Angeles, called the Self-Realization Center, or the Self-Realization Fellowship, where Marianne Williamson first started teaching A Course in Miracles. Maybe that. Oh, don't forget to turn off the overlay for the green screen. Thank you very much. I'll remember that. Hold on. Appreciate it. The fucking, how are you not, just the ego. It's just killing me. This is so embarrassing. That's our struggle with being this beloved. I do. And sometimes it goes to me head, and I feel like, I do things that are just inhumane, but I forgive myself immediately and think about the check. I go, I shouldn't have lied about the Ukrainians and stuff. I shouldn't lie about the people who are defending themselves. But, I shouldn't let, other people gish gallop across my show and then go interesting when I know it's not interesting. It's wrong. But, the check. But I think God, in all her wisdom, as the great spirit, I've got a picture of her. I bought it in India when I was traveling. That I go, oh look how I show it to people when I want them to think I'm spiritual. It's like a woven woman. It's really amazing. And sorry, I just got lost how great I was for a second. Yeah, does that ever happen to you, Tucker? I'm sure it does.
So when I sort of hear morality sort of as bombast, or when I hear rhetoric divorced from compassion, it makes me feel uneasy.
Fuck you.
So I've been blessed.
Rhetoric divorced from compassion, that's the only prerequisite to be a guest on his podcast. That is the exact behavior of the people he brings on. And then he sits back and fucking eats sunflower seeds and like waves at the people. Yes, I agree. I was thinking about something that you said earlier where I was like, that's so wrong. It's right, and I feel that that's true. Go on again about how, Ukraine shouldn't have been wearing that short skirt. Go ahead, tell about that part. Tell me about Nazis again and how, mass graves and rape squads are completely justified because 9 years ago there were 16 people in the Azov battalion who viewed themselves as Nazis, and they've been bounced since, but that's no excuse. Holy shit. Hello, Kitto. Thank you for the super chat. Love you, man. Am I going to look at the new Scream movie? I have to say the ads have been interesting. I don't know how interested I am in the movie itself. And I have a big list. We went and saw Creed 3, which I enjoyed at the theater. But I've got, a stack. I'm going to go see the John Wick movie in the theater as well. We'll see.
With a very practical spirituality, like many desperate people. I need spirituality. I need God, or I cannot cope in this world.
God is in his own way a crutch that allows me to stand up and morally judge others. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I couldn't do it without the illusion of a divine right to be a piece of shit.
I need to believe in the best in people. I need to believe that there are new alliances possible, new ways of us communicating, because I see...
No, you don't get... No, bullshit. Hold on. Again... Fucking hell. These fucking long hairs, man. This asshole... No. You don't get to scream all fucking day and night about how we need to tear down the systems that exist and destroy them as they stand right in their stead and basically end every functioning system in the world because you believe there's another way on the other side. You don't get to do that. You get to advocate for a system to replace the current one until it materializes. But you don't get to go, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's there. I don't even pretend to know. But we should destroy everything that people rely on just to get to work, just to eat, just to take care of their children, just a normal life, fucking go to games and movies and hang out and all that kind of stuff, because it's all fraud anyways. And I could say that because I live in a fucking mansion, like hidden up in the fucking woods. In Hobbiton, and I'm taller than everyone else, and I'm a multi-millionaire. I've got my retirement figured out, so fuck you. And I can pay someone $1 million to do a fucking geothermal or fucking dig a well on my property, and I can build a wall high enough to keep you fuckers out no matter how 28 days later London gets. So I don't really give a fuck. But the point is that, I need God in my life so that I can say that, so that you can think, I can't be a complete piece of shit. He's got God in his life. He's not specifying which one. That doesn't matter.
Atrophying and corrupt systems delivering yet more misery to people, and I think it...
Define delivering more misery to people. Because this motherfucker is standing on and standing in and standing under the work of multitudes over the decades, going from us all scrounging in fucking dirt to the modernity he takes for granted so that he can cosplay as a fucking native late 60s hippieite offshoot of the Manson family without any repercussions, so that he can image his way through fucking life. This motherfucker, it has one fruiting tree on his property, and it's ego. Every day, ego. There you go. Often, it's, I don't know everything, but you should respect the fact that I even pretend to believe that.
It's increasingly necessary that we find new ways of framing the conversation and looking into our hearts when we're speaking. Are we being kind? Are we being...
Yeah, that's why you have Jimmy Dore on. You need somebody kind. It's about kindness. And famous, obviously. Famous kind people. I mean, if they're known for being mean and they're famous for being mean, but I mean, I'm kind enough to make up for it. And you know what? I should have them on because it makes me look kind by comparison.
Loving. Are we being the best that we can be? On whose behalf are we speaking? And what...
Jesus Christ. I was, the Marianne Williamson with a beard shit, I was joking earlier, but holy shit, that's exactly what this is. Ego in wolf's clothing, or in ego in love's clothing.
What is my intention moment to moment? Am I doing this for self-glorification? Am I...
Yes, you are. Yes. Your whole outfit is a brand, Russell. You are Russell Brand. Your family name or your showbiz name, I don't know if that's his original name or whatever, is literally taken from burning into the flesh of livestock things, animals you own, your own initials.
Am I doing this because I have obligations to Rumble, the platform I'm on, or am I doing this because I genuinely believe that a better world is possible and that world is born individually within each of us moment to moment?
Look at Tucker. He's like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, but I'm amazed that you can spout this shit uninterrupted. I'm impressed just by the uninterrupted flow of bullshit. It's stunning.
And it's
I'm worried that you might stain the wood, though. Because I like the kind of fresh oak look. I'm not looking for like a stained, darker, I just don't, especially if it's splotchy.
Possible to change. I genuinely believe in change, and I'm not at my core a misanthrope. I don't...
Yes, you are. Or you wouldn't have to fucking say that. You imagine also, I'll remember what reality is. First of all, fucking, if I ever... in an interview, that's like right up there with using my own name in the third person. Like, I would want to punch myself in the fucking dick if I said something like that. I remember what it was like to be on the mean streets. Get the fuck out of here. What a, can you do know that right after this, Tucker told him it was great, but he had somebody there with him. His producer of his podcast, his publicist, somebody there who just, that was amazing, boss. That was great, boss. That was so good. Oh my God. There's so much because I can really connect. People really connected with you when you said like.
I don't believe that we need systems of condemnation. I don't believe that if people aren't heavily policed and heavily controlled, they will behave badly. I believe that we can self-organize. I'm optimistic about your country and I'm optimistic about mine and I'm optimistic about...
Bullshit. Okay, Doomer. No, you aren't. No, you are not. The only thing that passes for optimism in Russell Brand's entire fucking existence these days is the fact that while he's spouting this Doomer bullshit on his show, he knows he's full of shit. That's not optimism. It means you know you're lying. He doesn't believe that shit at all. But it pays. Am I doing this because of my obligation to Rumble? No. You're cashing in on your contract with Rumble, and you're getting the money that comes secondarily from it. And by the way, when he moved, this sounds like, and I gotta say, this is hinky. Let's run back this.
Am I doing this because I have obligations to Rumble, the platform I'm on?
Okay. So I thought, like many of you, that Russell was doing really well on YouTube, had a lot of people on there, and decided to move to Rumble because of his fear of censorship. Do you remember that? And from this, from what he's saying right here, it actually sounds like he just got bought. That Rumble went after him like Spotify went after Rogan. They offered him a contract to guarantee him some stuff, and we won't bounce any of your videos, and we'll help you build this thing. If you just bring your folks over, you still post stuff secondarily after the fact clips, but if anybody wants to see the whole thing, they have to come over to Rumble. That's the deal. And he just admitted to it on the fucking air. He didn't go because he feared being kicked off, and Rumble is this new free service where you can fucking stream. Because when I stream on Rumble, they don't pay me to do it. I'm not going to make any fucking money on there. I fucking do some RTMP links and pop the shit in, and up it goes. He was purchased from YouTube by Rumble. And maybe there was some talk about him having a contract with Rumble, and that was news somewhere, but I don't remember saying it. And I remember his entire conversation being about how I'm moving over there and we're doing over there because we can speak more freely and blah blah blah, which is a sales pitch for fucking Rumble, and it's a lie.
Or am I doing this because I genuinely believe that a better world is possible, and that world is born individually within each of us, moment to moment, and it's possible to change? I genuinely believe in change, and I'm not at my core a
Who the fuck are you looking at, by the way? This is a spiritual gish gallop of nonsense that he spews at his little gatherings at the tail end of his alleged stand-up gigs.
Misanthrope. I don't believe that we need systems of condemnation. I don't believe that if people aren't heavily policed and heavily controlled, they will behave badly.
By the way, these are sentences that sound meaningful that are ultimately meaningless. This is the most shallow form of bullshit spirituality. It's like, do you ever see Annie Hall? Do you guys ever see Annie Hall? And remember when they're going back through her past relationships, and there's the playwright, who's, or Shelley Duvall's character, where like he's transplended. He is God. He is actually God, and Woody Allen becomes God out of the bathroom. It's the same. This is just jargon for jargon's sake. And what you're seeing right here is a man reveling in the joy of how certain kinds of jargon allow him to puppet other people's feelings. It is a giant act of ego. And you can tell just by fucking looking at him.
I believe that we can self-organize.
Then do it, motherfucker. Also, what does self-organize mean? Does everybody on your show just randomly arrive whenever they want? Does your producer go, yeah, hey guys, we're going to self-organize or not tomorrow for a live stream of the podcast or not? And if you don't feel like coming, you'll still get paid, obviously, because Russell's that kind of a guy.
I'm optimistic about your country, and I'm optimistic about mine, and I'm optimistic about the world. But I think the price of that optimism is a degree of reason and an acceptance that many people see the world very, very differently at this time. Right. And we're going to have to allow one another some distance to be who we are, whether that's individually or communally. And these...
Yeah, if a community decides that gays shouldn't get married, or that women are, 3/5 of a person, to borrow a phrase, or shouldn't have the right. We just have to, for a certain time, we're just going to have to let that be. It's just women are going to have to take one for the team. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
These are the areas that interest me. And these are the things that have always interested me. The
blather.
Fact was, I just didn't have enough self-discipline to resist the allure of stardom. And I fell...
Hold on. You think your show and this right here and your outfit and this whole bullshit isn't the allure of stardom? You 6.7 million awakening wonders? The fuck? are you talking about? Here's how it went. He's a half-ass stand-up and a marginal actor. Most of what he can do when he's acting that works is him being stern on camera because it's against type. And people are like, ooh, my goodness, he seems upset. That's it. The body of work is pretty fucking shallow. So stop patting yourself on the back like you left behind something like, well, I just, at a certain point, will another Oscar make me happy? Fuck off. He got stand-up specials because he came into this through stand-up, and he was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he looked like hippie Jesus, and he was fucking around and doing drugs. So he had a bad boy ride for a while, and that's it. And it started to fade, and there was nothing else past it. And so he needed something to drum up shit to do, and here he is. By the way, right-wingers accuse me of this shit all the time. I don't care. But at no point am I going, well, I just couldn't. It was like, I kind of have to do something with my time. Otherwise, I'll just roll around in fame. That's it. That's the hard part for me. I've got this, I've got so many ideas in my head, that I can't even, I'm wrestling. If you really think about it, I'm like a wrestler, and I'm always wrestling with my darker nature. Sometimes it just riles up in me and it makes me want to, I'm kind of like that, and I got to fight it off, but I try, but it makes me, and it's harder and harder. And is it getting hot in here? Or is it just me? I feel like I'd take my pants off. Anyways.
Face first into the glitter, and I'm only just pulling myself out now. But once I
You're not pulling yourself out now. You're pulling yourself off now, mate.
Stopped drinking and taking drugs, it became clear that
I needed another addiction, and the sound of my own voice sounded good.
There was a lot more on offer. The ability to, in fact, as they say, recovery, the term recovery is undergirded by the idea that we recover the person we're intended to be. And this idea of intention, I think, is rather beautiful, because when you live in a nihilistic, post-rationalistic, materialistic world where there can
You mean your podcast?
be no telos, where there can be no glory, where there can be no meaning, none of us are
Yeah. That's exactly what you're arguing for. We're all, in many ways, if you really think about it, we're all one and on kind of the lowest because we're human beings, and it would be better if we were all gone anyways. And if we do, something does happen to us, we'll all just absorb back into the great atom.
Meant to be anything, but the idea that there might be a purpose for you, that there might be something that you can become.
And if you're interested, $29.95. I've got a little course you can do, and you won't find anything, but I do need a boat.
This I found this idea very engaging and very comforting, and I've got to be honest, it also engaged the more egoic and narcissistic aspects.
You don't fucking say. No kidding. And by the way, he wants points for recognizing he's an egomaniac. If you know you're an egomaniac, you're no longer an egomaniac. That's the great thing about it. If you really think about it. I'm great. I think I'm great. It's clear I think I'm fucking great. I'm the greatest. If I think I'm the greatest, but I tell you, it's a shame I think I'm the greatest. In some ways, I get off the hook for being an egomaniac, and it makes me even greater in the moment. Isn't that, shit.
Me that I could achieve something in my life. But as time has gone on,
I've decided, cash in on doom. Yeah. At some point, I'm going to have to let it all go. And I'm going to have to sell prepper food, because that's where this path lies. Because I've tried the sex guru thing, and the wife won't have it.
Ongoing tension between those things, individual achievement and a sort of an ongoing desire for recognition and plaudits, but a deeper understanding that there is.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, sure, that exists. Yeah, I want everyone to think I'm fucking amazing and hang on my every word, but it's for a good cause. Be fair.
There's something valuable here on offer, that we can achieve something. And
unlike, the rest of you lot. That's, I mean, part of it, look, part of me being amazing is that I recognize my potential to be even more amazing, and recognize in you, all of you have the ability to see how amazing I am for $29.95.
It's actually sort of quite humble, irritatingly, isn't it?
Oh, get the fuck out! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my! It's kind of humbling to recognize how amazingly like humble I am. Like I'm so. It's like, you know, think about it. I mean, God, bit of an ego, sure, created everything, but at a certain point, isn't your hand you as well? And therefore, if I'm the hand of God, I'm kind of God. I mean, you're either part of the whole or a whole of the part, and it's the same fucking thing. And I'm basically, Tucker, I'm God, okay? And yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Like that, it's mostly about helping people directly. My
that was an edit.
Worldview is formed by spiritual principles rather.
Oh, yes, so you've said. What spiritual principles? You've said spirituality. I think spirituality, there's a thing about spirituality in the spirit, an ego in spirit and spirituality, that in the spirit of being spiritual, I feel that there's a deeper question of whether I'm spiritual enough for as spiritual as I actually fucking am. So in many ways, are you in the spirit yet? I'm sorry, what was the question? Oh yes, spirituality. I believe in spirits. I used to drink them, now I believe in them. It's basically the same thing.
Rather than political principles that might.
And Tucker agreed with that. I don't know why. Probably because of what they cut out. I believe in spiritual principles, not political principles. What political principles are you talking about? Right, left? À droite, à gauche? Is that the idea? À droite, à gauche? These left and right. What does left and right mean? I don't know. What does conservative and liberal mean? What do they mean to you? Start defining them. By defining them, we'll figure out what the fuck you're talking about. And as you talk deeper, you might actually spring on exactly how you feel. And you know what we're going to come back to? I basically am an egomaniac.
Values are derived from quite simple ideas around kindness, community, acceptance, gratitude, and
kindness, community, acceptance, and gratitude. I'll keep an eye out for those things in your next clip, because heretofore I haven't seen them. I've seen a man jacking himself off at the expense of other people and looking at the puddle he made on his desk and saying, "You're all pregnant."
Making no claim to practice these principles.
But that's the great thing about me, you know, because a little way, I mean, if you really think about it, the very fact that I know these words and I don't do them, and I'm aware that I know these words and I'm aware that I don't do them, makes me kind of already doing them, if you think about it. I mean, it's like, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking back to when somebody gave me a compliment before I walked in here, and I was just enjoying it again. Got a semi.
Anything like perfectly, but at least I know what I'm aspiring to, and I know that my...
Unlike you plebes.
Spirituality is about my conduct and how I behave, rather than telling other people how they should behave.
Yeah, so who am I to judge fucking the people at the WEF or Pfizer or Moderna or the government or politicians or police officers or citizens of other countries, the Ukrainians or anything. How can I even judge those people? I mean, I wouldn't even propose to mock them in any way or whatever, because, I mean, I know we're all like broken puzzle pieces that magically fit together because we all share the same holes. But shut the fuck up. Good Lord. I am usually not amazed by that level of ego. And by the way, maybe this is what annoys me. I like egoists, true egoists, people who are like, yeah, I learned how to do something, I'm good at something, and I'm fucking awesome at it. I don't brag about my height because I had no control about that. My skin color, I had no control over that. My family, how they made their money, I got no control over that whatsoever. But I became a great piano player, or a great chef, or I fucking sing like a bird, or I can write, or I'm great at my job, or I'm great with my kids, or whatever. And I focus on it and I try to be better. And I feel really good about it. I'm fucking proud as a dad, that kind of shit. Because it's based on the activities of your fucking life. I love that because I aspire to people who shoot for that. Not people who are selling it, but people who are like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, watch Prince play guitar. Look at the wry smile that was on his face when he would play. And know that he was very aware of how great he was because he busted his ass to get there. It took a lot of effort for that level of effortlessness. And it's beautiful. And it's attainable. And you do know that to some degree, you'll be your own person. You'll be your own version. But if you put that kind of time in and you really dedicate yourself, Django Reinhardt had 2 fucking fingers on this hand and he was an amazing guitar player. You've got it in you. You can do it. And that's why I love those inspiring people. I love people who are proud of their accomplishments. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But pretty motherfuckers acting like they got where they are by accident, kind of aggravating. Whew. That's impressive. That is, and I guess it had to get him being on Tucker Carlson to feel like he could let that freak flag fly so very brightly, Roy. When it comes to adversity. Exactly, Salty Sylvester. That's the point. Challenge. Overcoming obstacles. That kind of stuff. There's a beauty in it, and it's inspiring. But some dickhead's like, well, I did like a couple movies, and I was cute, and I was like doing drugs and fucking around in I was a big fish in a small pond. I made it, and I did Saving Sarah Marshall in America, and so I came back over to England, and I'm like, one of 9 people who fucking make it, It's me and Izzard and a couple of, and Gervais, and I'm the only fuckable one. So I did a bunch of drugs and fucked a bunch of chicks and played hippie and started my own little cult. And then the office started to dry up because I'm a bit boring and my comedy's derivative and I'm kind of shitty to people. So I thought, hey, that sounds like a podcast. And the great thing is, I can let people know on the regular that there's a tremendous amount of humility in being fucking amazing, and I feel like the universe put me here to say that, and also to scare the living shit out of people, so they think the end is coming all the time. Basically, make that Chicken Little scratch. You know what I'm saying? Because when people are scared, man, they'll cough up cash to they hang on your every fucking word. If you're actually optimistic, they kind of dissipate. Oh, okay, everything's fine. Then they go do interesting shit. They go to sports and dinner with their friends and stuff like that. How you got to keep them riveted to their fucking phones? Like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and then you give them the sickness and sell them the cure. That's what. Hey, I'm Russell Brand, giving you the sickness, selling you the cure. That's why I hate Pfizer. I feel like they're muscling in on my racket. I love you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thursday, later show, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I know I was late today, but I was because of traffic. God damn it. And we will enjoy as we watch over the next couple of days. these folks continue to take this Gen 6 footage and stomp rakes like a motherfucker. Anyways, I love you guys. Thanks so much. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Pete. I think is it £1? Thanks for our Brits. I'm sorry if I'm mucking up the accent there, you know, but I'm just trying to do it for comedy. You know what I mean? It's all right. Just trying, you know, I just think it's a funny character. You know, like, I don't really, you know, Russell Brand doesn't actually have an English accent. You know, he's faking it like Madonna. It's true. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. He's from Azerbaijan, but he was like raised in, I believe, North Carolina. Yeah. And he just lives over in, yeah. No, he's like third generation rich family from England, though. So they all moved back. Like, oh, I got free. We can all just live here, eh? Yeah, it's true. Or maybe it's not. Does it really matter?